So guys, today I wanted to talk about an aircraft that would actually make more sense than the SU-30SM that we will probably see in one of the first updates of this year for the Russians, right? So let's get into it. So the idea here is that the 4+ generation aircraft will come for all nations in this year for sure. We already have the Eurofighter and the Rafale for a lot of nations, and of course even F-15E and I, they're not really maybe normally considered a 4+ generation, but more aircraft for those nations as well will probably come. But indeed, the 4 nations that don't have it will be probably the priority, right? And one of them is Russia, right? And they already are talking how they want to give the Russians something better than what it is right now, right? So they talk about the SU-30SM. The problem with the SU-30SM is that the initial variant, the normal SU-30SM, is actually using the older engines, right? So it will be heavier. It will although turn a little bit better and stuff, but it will be heavier and will have the same engines as the older SU-27s, meaning that it will lack a little bit of the performance, right? So here I will actually give another idea on an aircraft that would actually make more sense and it would be easier to guide into that, and it would be a better aircraft in my opinion. And it is the SU-27SM. SM3. So basically this is the last SU-27SM, making the flanker a real 4+ generation aircraft, okay? It basically brought the SU-35's tech into the SU-27s, so to be cheaper and easier to be upgraded, right? So the engines, for example, were upgraded. Technically are the engines that we already have with the SM right now, and it's an engine that it is somewhat similar to the SU-35's engine. Of course, the SU-35's engine is stronger and it has the differences, you know. The main one would be the thrust vectoring, but there is a funny thing that they actually used one of the SU-27LLs, right? One of the prototypes they used to test stuff, and they actually tested the thrust vectoring on this FM version. So technically, in theory, the engines on the SM, the engines that would be added to the SM3, can be thrust vector, you know, but they wouldn't as a production model. But it would be basically the same engine as we have there in the SM. Actually, the last SMs that they did upgrade before it became the SM2 did use this engine, right? So it's that's why in the SM in the game we have this engine, but it would be using the same engine, okay? With this funny possibility that if Gaijin really wants, they can add a thrust vectoring version out of it. Never saw production, but it would be cool as a prototype, right? The radar is upgraded as well with the Ibris E radar, which is a full PESA radar, passively electronically scanned array radar. And it's just a very modern PESA, you know, very, very modern. The same as basically the SU-35. It is a hybrid radar, so it uses mechanical scanned arrays together, or a mechanical movement, right, together with the PESA array. So it is able to basically look 90 degrees to the sides, for example, right? It can detect a 3-meter squared RCS target, so basically an F-16, at up to 350 kilometers in the narrow search, and normally 200 kilometers. So it's a very, very good in the range target. Of course, this radar will actually made to be used with the R-37, for example, very long-range missile, right? Has air-to-ground modes, and it can shoot even 2 semi-active radar homing missiles apparently at once. So we could lock 2 R-27ERs, for example, at 2 different targets and fire at 2 targets a semi-active radar homing. But normally, of course, you would use the 8 data link channels that he has to target 8 targets at once with the Fox 3s. Some sources even claim that it has 2 extra pylons, although I couldn't confirm it, but some sources do claim that. So like I said, it would be basically a makeshift SU-35. There are other little upgrades here and there, but in general, it's the engine that we have in the SM, so it would be an upgraded engine if we didn't get the SM's upgraded engine in the last update, right? And it would have mainly the new radar. That's the main thing. And with that, probably without the thrust vectoring, and no stealth tech to help the RCS get down, the SU-35, for example, compared to the SU-35, it would mean that it would be basically having more performance than the SU-30 in general. Although, of course, with the canards and thrust vectoring of the SU-30SM would mean that it could do more cobras and stuff like that. But in general, performance, acceleration, energy retention, overall, capabilities of maintaining a longer period of a dogfight, the SU-27SM3 would be probably better, okay? So it has more power, it's lighter, although doesn't have canards, it's still very much amazing, on the maneuverability. So in my opinion, it would be just an SU-27 that we have in the game with a properly amazing radar to be able to use it in the top tiers, right? Remember as well that the radar is the main thing that everybody complains about on the Russian aircraft, right? These radars are very old, the radars that we are using. They are 80s radars that are basically upgraded. And remember, these radars, they are using very old technology. They have to do hardware changes instead of just software changes, for example, to add new weapons. So it's a very old type of technology that needs to be upgraded to be able to be a little bit better on that regard, right? So of course, another upgrade would be on the weapon systems. Obviously, it can take the most modernized weapons that the flankers could use. So, for example, the R77-1 that Gaijin is, planning at a certain point to add to the game. You could use that. Of course, the R73s with its upgrades, so the R74M, stuff like that, could be added as well. That only depends on balance and other things, of course. But yeah, he could obviously use better weapons like that, right? I couldn't confirm if it would actually be able to use the R-37 or something like that. Very few numbers of these aircraft were actually produced, like 12 or something. I don't know, it's really, really hard to find information about these aircraft. So in theory, this is it, it's very low numbers, basically a makeshift Su-35, etc., right? So in my opinion, although it's not the greatest upgrade ever, and the Su-30, of course, it's way more fun technically for the majority of the players, and people would want the Su-30 way more, the Su-27SM3 might be a better option. You tell me in the comments if you would like to see them or not. If you'd like to see the Su-30 more than the Su-27SM3. Of course, the Su-30 would be a fan favorite just because it is a different take on the flanker idea, right? And of course, it's the Mihaly aircraft, right? So everybody loves it. But in a general sense, this is it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. You let me know what would be your favorite choice, the Su-30SM or the Su-27SM3. Honestly, even the SM3 could already be an upgrade to the aircraft that we have right now, since technically it would be more of a radar upgrade, right, and missile upgrade. But you tell me, would you like to see a new aircraft as the SM3 in a new BR? Would you like to see an update to the SM to become an SM3 and add the Su-30SM as well? Let me know in the comments, guys. As always, leave a like, leave a comment, always helps a lot. Leave a subscribe, and see you guys.